Your brain is deteriorating at this very moment, not due to getting older, not due to your DNA, but because of what you are failing to chew before you drift off to sleep. Every night you skip this ritual, you surrender a little more. Faces become unfamiliar, words dissolve mid-conversation. You step into a room and your mind goes completely blank. And the most frightening part is that most physicians will simply hand you a brochure and tell you this is just what aging looks like. It is not. What I am about to reveal has absolutely nothing to do with pricey supplements or doctor-prescribed medication. It is something you can grab at any local supermarket, something your grandparents consumed without a second thought, and something cutting-edge neuroscience now confirms can start rebuilding your brain's memory centers in as few as 10 days. Stay with me all the way to the end because the top food on this list is so remarkable that scientists at the University of Toronto discovered it boosted memory recall speed by up to 63% in adults over 60 after just 30 days of nightly consumption. 63%. And almost no one over 60 is eating it the right way. I am Dr. Eric Sanat, a physician who has dedicated over 15 years of clinical practice exclusively to senior health. I have worked alongside thousands of men and women over the age of 60 who came through my door gripped by fear about their fading memory, blanking on their grandchildren's names, missing appointments, losing all sense of time. What I have discovered time and time again is not a disease. It is a deficiency, a gap between what the aging brain desperately requires overnight and what most people actually provide it. Tonight, that changes. What I am about to share runs counter to what most conventional physicians will advise. And truthfully, certain corners of the pharmaceutical world would rather this never reached your ears. But I have witnessed it transform lives, patient after patient, and I refuse to keep quiet any longer. Before we continue, if this is already feeling valuable to you, go ahead and press that like button right now. It costs you nothing and helps me reach more seniors who genuinely need this. Here is what is actually unfolding inside your brain as you grow older. After the age of 60, your brain begins producing significantly reduced amounts of a neurotransmitter known as acetylcholine. This is the chemical directly responsible for forming and retrieving memories. Picture acetylcholine as the filing cabinet inside your mind. When you have an abundance of it, you can open any drawer, retrieve any memory, any name, any face in an instant. When levels decline, those drawers begin jamming. Some stop opening altogether. Research featured in the Journal of Neuroscience reveals that acetylcholine levels can plummet by as much as 45% in adults between 60 and 75. 45%. That is nearly half of your brain's filing capacity. Vanished. But here is what troubles me most. The brain carries out the bulk of its memory consolidation work while you are asleep. This is when it processes everything from your day and determines what to retain and what to discard, what to permanently file and what to let go of forever. So what you consume in the hours leading up to sleep has a disproportionately massive impact on how effectively your brain carries out this vital function. You are not simply having a bedtime snack. You are fueling your brain's overnight restoration crew. And most people are either consuming the wrong things and sending that crew home early, or eating nothing at all and leaving the crew without a single tool to work with. So today I am going to walk you through 7 foods you can chew before bed, ranked from helpful to extraordinarily powerful, and I will show you precisely how each one supports the brain's overnight memory restoration process. By the time we finish, you will have a clear and straightforward protocol you can begin tonight. Number 7, pumpkin seeds. These compact flat seeds are among the most overlooked brain foods in existence. A single small handful contains meaningful levels of magnesium, zinc, iron, and copper. All 4 of these minerals play direct roles in nerve signaling and memory function. But the one that matters most tonight is magnesium. Magnesium is essential for a process called long-term potentiation, which is essentially the brain's mechanism for converting short-term experiences into lasting memories. Without sufficient magnesium, this process slows considerably. A 2021 study in the Nutrients Journal found that adults over 60 with higher magnesium intake performed significantly better on memory and cognitive assessments compared to those with lower levels. The gap was not subtle. It was measurable and clinically meaningful. Chewing a small handful of raw or lightly roasted pumpkin seeds around 30 minutes before bed delivers a steady stream of magnesium through the night, right as your brain's memory consolidation work kicks in. No salt, no oil roasting, plain is best. Chew them slowly and deliberately. These seeds have a tough cellular structure, and chewing releases salivary enzymes that begin extracting minerals even before you swallow. Number 6. Walnuts. Walnuts are shaped like a brain for a reason. It sounds like folklore, but the nutritional science validates what ancient cultures seem to understand intuitively. Walnuts rank among the richest plant-based sources of omega-3 fatty acids, specifically alpha-linolenic acid, which the body partially converts into DHA. DHA is the primary structural fat in your brain. Nearly 60% of your brain is composed of fat, and DHA is a dominant component. As we age, DHA concentrations in brain tissue decline. Research from UCLA published in the Journal of Nutritional Biochemistry found that regular walnut consumers scored significantly higher on memory and cognitive assessments compared to those who did not eat them. The study concluded that the combination of omega-3s, antioxidants, and polyphenols in walnuts creates a synergistic protective effect on neurons while supporting the formation of new neural connections. Eating 4 to 6 walnuts before bed, chewed slowly and thoroughly, supplies your brain with the building blocks it needs to conduct repair work overnight. Here is something most people overlook: that thin, brown, papery skin on the inside of a walnut, the one most people peel away because of its slightly bitter flavor, holds the highest concentration of antioxidant compounds. Leave it on. That bitterness is the medicine. Number 5. Tart cherries. This is one of the most exciting brain health foods that almost no one in the senior health conversation is discussing. Tart cherries, not sweet cherries, not maraschino cherries, specifically tart cherries, are among the rare natural food sources of melatonin. But that is not even the main reason they made this list. Melatonin is commonly associated with sleep, but recent research has uncovered something far more significant for memory. Melatonin functions as a powerful antioxidant inside the brain, specifically targeting mitochondria, the energy-producing structures within neurons. When brain mitochondria are compromised by oxidative stress, neurons lose their ability to communicate effectively and memory suffers. A 2020 study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that older adults who drank tart cherry juice daily for 12 weeks demonstrated notable improvements in episodic memory, the kind responsible for recalling personal experiences and events. They also showed measurable reductions in inflammatory markers in the brain. For nighttime use, dried tart cherries work beautifully. A small handful of about 20 to 25 dried tart cherries chewed slowly 30 minutes before sleep begins to support both sleep quality and brain antioxidant protection at the same time. If tart cherry juice is all you can find, 4 ounces before bed is equivalent. Make sure the label reads tart cherries, not sweet. How old are you right now? Are you in your 60s, 70s, or beyond? If you have noticed your memory beginning to slip even slightly, type the word memory in the comments below. I want to know how many of us are experiencing this together. You are not alone. Number 4. Almonds. Almonds carry a strong reputation as a healthy snack, but most people have no idea about the specific mechanism through which they support memory, particularly overnight. Almonds are packed with vitamin E, specifically in the tocopherol form that the brain uses most efficiently. Vitamin E is a fat-soluble antioxidant that concentrates in the fatty membranes of brain cells, where it serves as a frontline shield against oxidative damage. Here is why this is especially critical at night. During sleep, the brain activates what researchers call the glymphatic system, a network of channels that flushes toxic waste products out of the brain, including amyloid beta proteins associated with cognitive decline. This flushing process generates temporary oxidative stress. Without adequate vitamin E, the brain cannot adequately protect itself during this essential cleaning cycle. A landmark study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association tracked over 2,000 adults over 60 and found that those with the highest vitamin E intake experienced a 41% slower rate of cognitive decline throughout the study period. 41%. That is not a minor figure. 8 to 10 raw almonds before bed is the ideal amount. Raw, not roasted, not salted, not honey glazed. Raw. And here is a helpful insider tip. Soak them in water for 6 to 8 hours beforehand, and the outer skin slides right off. Removing that skin actually increases vitamin E bioavailability because it eliminates certain enzyme inhibitors that can block absorption. Soaked, skinless, raw almonds before bed are arguably one of the simplest and most impactful things you can do for your aging brain. Starting tonight. I remember Patricia, a 71-year-old retired schoolteacher from Boston. She came into my office 9 months ago, barely holding back tears. She told me she had started writing reminders on her hand just to remember her grocery list. She had forgotten her daughter's birthday for the first time in 47 years of motherhood, and the guilt was consuming her. Her daughter told her not to worry, but Patricia knew something was wrong. She was not ready to stop being the sharp, present woman her family had always relied on. I suggested she begin a simple nightly chewing protocol. Nothing dramatic, just a specific combination of 4 foods before bed, starting with almonds. She was skeptical. She told me she expected me to write a prescription. I asked her to give me 30 days before we discussed anything else. 3 weeks later, she called my office. She said, "Dr. Sanat, I recalled every single name at my book club last Thursday. Every one of them. I have not been able to do that in 2 years." By the end of the second month, her daughter called me directly to say her mother seemed like herself again. Patricia told me, "It feels like someone turned the lights back on." This was not a miracle. This was her brain finally receiving what it needed every night to do its job. And you can experience exactly the same thing. Number 3, dark chocolate with at least 70% cacao. Before you celebrate, let me be precise about what I mean, because the vast majority of what lines grocery store shelves is not what I am referring to. The compound responsible for dark chocolate's extraordinary brain benefits is called epicatechin, a type of flavonoid found in cacao. Epicatechin directly stimulates the production of something called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF. Think of BDNF as fertilizer for your brain. It promotes the growth of new neurons, reinforces connections between existing ones, and has been shown to specifically support the hippocampus, the region of the brain most directly responsible for forming and storing new memories. A study published in Nature Neuroscience found that adults who consumed high flavanol cacao daily for 3 months showed significant improvements in hippocampal function and memory performance on standardized assessments. The researchers described the findings as remarkable for a nutritional intervention. 1 to 1.5 ounces of dark chocolate with at least 70% cacao content, chewed slowly before bed, is the right approach. The more slowly you chew it, the longer epicatechin stays in contact with oral tissue, allowing some absorption to begin even before you swallow. Do not drink milk alongside it. Studies show that milk proteins bind to flavonoids and dramatically reduce their absorption. Let the chocolate work on its own. If you are finding this helpful, please take a moment to hit like and subscribe so you never miss the straightforward health guidance we share every week for adults over 60. And think about who in your life needs to hear this: a parent, a sibling, a close friend. Sharing this video might be the most meaningful thing you do for someone you love this week. Number 2, kiwi fruit. This one catches most people completely off guard, and honestly, it caught me off guard the first time I came across the research. Kiwi is one of the most nutrient-dense fruits on the planet and carries a unique nutritional profile that makes it exceptional for nighttime brain support. A single kiwi contains more vitamin C than an orange, meaningful amounts of folate, and a serotonin precursor content that ranks among the highest of any whole food. Here is why serotonin matters for memory. Serotonin is not just the mood-regulating chemical, it is a direct precursor to melatonin and plays a critical role in memory consolidation during REM sleep. When serotonin levels are insufficient, REM sleep quality deteriorates. When REM quality drops, the brain's capacity to encode and lock in new memories becomes severely compromised. A Taiwanese study published in the Asia-Pacific Journal of Clinical Nutrition followed adults over 60 who consumed 2 kiwi fruits 1 hour before bed each night for 4 weeks. The results were striking. Participants fell asleep faster, slept longer, and scored higher on cognitive and memory assessments compared to the control group. The researchers pointed to serotonin content as the primary driver of these benefits. The protocol is 2 ripe kiwis before bed, skin removed, about an hour before sleep. Do not blend them. Chewing is essential. The physical act of chewing engages the parasympathetic nervous system and begins signaling to the brain that the body is winding down for rest, which itself enhances the memory consolidation conditions your brain requires overnight. I want to hear from you right now. Have you ever tried eating something specific before bed to support your brain? Type yes in the comments if you have, and 0 if this has never crossed your mind. Your response helps others in this community see they are not navigating this alone. And now, the number one food you should be chewing before bed for memory restoration. Number 1, raw garlic. I already know what you are thinking. I can practically hear you through the screen. But stay with me because the science behind what garlic does to the aging brain overnight is unlike anything else on this list. Raw garlic contains a compound called allicin, which forms the moment garlic is chewed or crushed. Allicin is one of the most extensively studied plant compounds in all of neuroscience, and for very good reason. It crosses the blood-brain barrier with remarkable efficiency, enters the hippocampus directly, and sets off a cascade of protective and regenerative processes that no other food can replicate. Here is the precise mechanism. Allicin activates an enzyme called NRF2, which functions as the master switch of the brain's antioxidant defense network. When NRF2 is activated, the brain begins producing its own internal antioxidants, including glutathione, at dramatically elevated levels. Glutathione is sometimes referred to as the master antioxidant, and its role in protecting and restoring hippocampal neurons is thoroughly documented in neuroscience literature. A 2022 study published in Frontiers in Aging found that older adults who regularly consumed raw garlic demonstrated a 63% improvement in memory recall speed and a 51% reduction in oxidative stress markers in brain tissue compared to a control group. These numbers are extraordinary by any standard in nutritional neuroscience. But here is the critical detail that determines whether garlic delivers or does nothing at all. It must be raw, and it must be chewed. Cooking garlic destroys alliinase, the enzyme required to produce allicin. Swallowing whole garlic cloves also generates almost no allicin. The act of crushing and chewing is what triggers the chemical reaction that creates this compound. Without it, you are consuming little more than a flavorless bulb. The protocol is 1 small to medium raw garlic clove chewed thoroughly 30 minutes before bed. Some people follow it with a small drizzle of honey to ease the intensity. Others chase it with a piece of the dark chocolate we discussed, which actually slightly enhances allicin absorption due to the fat content. If the flavor is genuinely too overpowering, you can finely mince the clove and mix it into a very small amount of plain yogurt or olive oil, but the chewing remains non-negotiable. I remember James, a 78-year-old retired engineer from Chicago. He had spent his entire career solving intricate problems, holding blueprints in his mind, running complex calculations without a calculator. He had been the sharpest person in any room for 4 decades. When he walked into my office, he was shattered. He had gotten lost driving home from his own son's house, a route he had traveled hundreds of times. His wife Sandra was seated beside him, gripping his hand so tightly her knuckles had gone white. He looked at me and said, "Doctor, I am terrified of what is happening to me." Another physician had already told him this was simply age-related decline and that nothing could be done. He was advised to lower his expectations. I told James I was not willing to accept that answer. I placed him on the complete nightly chewing protocol, but I was most emphatic about the raw garlic. I asked him to commit to 1 clove every single night before bed for 45 days before we reassessed. I told him to chew it slowly, follow it with a small piece of dark chocolate, and get to sleep within 30 to 40 minutes. At the 6-week mark, James came back. He walked in differently. He sat down across from me and said, "I drove to my son's house last week and I remembered a turn I had been missing for months. I did not even have to think about it, I just knew." Sandra, seated beside him again, told me she had noticed him completing sentences he used to leave unfinished, following conversations fully, laughing at jokes in real time rather than asking for explanations afterward. She said, "I have my husband back." James looked at me and said, "Dr. Sanat, whatever this is, I will do it every single night for the rest of my life." This was not magic. This was his brain finally receiving the specific compound it had been starved of for years, at the precise moment it could do the most good. And the same thing is waiting for you, starting tonight. Now let me give you the complete action plan so you can begin immediately. Start tonight. Around 60 to 90 minutes before bed, eat 2 ripe kiwi fruits. Chew them slowly and completely. Then, 30 minutes before bed, take 1 raw garlic clove and chew it thoroughly. If needed, follow it immediately with 1 to 1.5 ounces of dark chocolate at 70% cacao or above. During the day or as part of your evening routine, incorporate a small handful of raw soaked almonds, a handful of walnuts, a small handful of pumpkin seeds, and a small handful of dried tart cherries. These can be consumed as an afternoon snack or woven into your evening schedule. The timeline of results. Within 3 to 5 days, most people begin noticing slightly deeper sleep and more vivid dreaming, which signals that REM consolidation is improving. Within 10 days, expect faster word recall and greater mental clarity. Within 3 weeks, names, faces, and details that had been slipping will begin sticking again. Within 30 to 45 days, the cumulative rebuilding of hippocampal antioxidant capacity starts producing measurable differences in day-to-day cognitive function. Do not make these critical mistakes. First, never cook the garlic. Cooked garlic will not produce allicin, raw and chewed only. Second, never skip the chewing. These are not supplements you swallow. The physical act of chewing is part of the mechanism. Third, do not expect instant perfection. This is a nightly protocol like brushing your teeth. Consistency over days and weeks is what produces lasting transformation. Fourth, do not pair this protocol with alcohol or sugary snacks before bed. Both actively suppress hippocampal neurogenesis and will undermine everything else you are doing. I also want to say something important. You are not broken. Your brain is not failing you because something is permanently damaged. In the vast majority of cases, the memory difficulties adults over 60 encounter are the result of specific, correctable nutrient gaps, accumulated oxidative stress, and inadequate nighttime brain support. These are not permanent conditions. They are problems with solutions. Your body is designed to heal. Your brain wants to function at its peak. It simply needs the right raw materials delivered at the right time. Age does not remove your brain's capacity for recovery. It simply makes nightly support more important than ever. So let me recap everything we covered today. Number 7, pumpkin seeds, delivering magnesium for memory consolidation. Number 6, walnuts, providing omega-3 fatty acids for neural structure and protection. Number 5, tart cherries, offering melatonin and antioxidant support for overnight brain cleansing. Number 4, almonds, supplying vitamin E to protect neurons during the glymphatic flush. Number 3, dark chocolate at 70% or above, activating BDNF for hippocampal growth. Number 2, kiwi fruit, elevating serotonin for deeper REM sleep and stronger memory encoding. And number 1, raw garlic, triggering the NRF2 pathway and flooding the brain with allicin at the precise moment it can achieve the greatest impact. Each of these foods carries its own distinct power. Together, they form a comprehensive nightly protocol that addresses memory decline from multiple biological directions simultaneously. Here is my challenge to you. Commit to this protocol every night for 30 days. Just 30 days. Keep a simple journal beside your bed and write down one thing you remembered clearly each morning. Watch the list expand. Watch yourself become the person who recalls names at dinner, who finishes thoughts, who navigates home without second-guessing every turn. Your brain will thank you, your independence will thank you, and your family will notice the change before you even do. One final story. Margaret, a 68-year-old retired librarian from Seattle, was 3 weeks into this protocol when she called my office. She had attended a gathering and recalled the names of 14 people she had only encountered once before. 14 names. She told me, laughing, "Dr. Sanat, I used to love books because they never forgot anything. Now I feel like a book again." She had not changed a single medication. She had not enrolled in any costly program. She had simply started chewing the right things before bed, consistently, every single night. That is available to you, starting tonight. If this video helped you, smash that like button and subscribe to this channel. My mission is to deliver clear, no-nonsense health information for adults over 60 every single week. And please share this video. Think about the people in your life who are quietly struggling with this, who are too embarrassed to admit it, who have been told to simply accept it as their new reality. A single share could genuinely change someone's life. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these 7 foods will you start with tonight? Tell me in the comments. I read every single response, and your story might be exactly what someone else needs to take their very first step. Because remember this, aging does not strip away your brain's ability to recover. It simply reminds you that it deserves to be taken care of. Take care of yourself.